Happy Saturday, guys. Happy Saturday. I got to put my glove back on real quick. Hold on. Sorry, that was probably not the most attractive thing on camera. Out with the walk for the beast, and it actually feels like January weather. So I got some gloves on and it's kind of chilly out. But wanted to send you this video intentionally on a weekend because that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, or that is the thing we're going to be talking about. So here you go. We're going to talk about weekends. I want to give some helpful tips for the person that's looking to progress, to get their weekends a little bit more dialed. I want to give you some good food for thought, no pun intended. For the average person, when they start making more beginner advancements in their nutrition, a very, very common sticking point are the weekends. Monday through Friday starts to look pretty good, pretty consistent. Their overall caloric intake is about on par. They start having the correct meal planning. Like, things start going well Monday through Friday. They're a little bit more controlled of an environment. They're more of a consistent daily flow. They're a little bit more scheduled, repetitive, consistent, all of that. And then the weekends hit. And the truth is, for the average person, yeah, weekends are different. The schedule is a little bit more free, particularly for those that work a Monday through Friday job. If you've got kids and they're not in school, it's definitely different. Or, you don't have kids, but you don't work on the weekends and you've got more freedom, then yeah, it's definitely different. But the truth is, weekends happen every week. So I get it, they're special, but they're not overly special, okay? They're not like a once a year vacation or something like that. So thinking about weekends, I want to put just some simple food for thought for those that are like, yeah, weekends are a bit of a sticking point. I want to make a little bit more advancement with that. I want to give you a couple things to think about. First one, let's say that you're wanting to be in a really small caloric deficit, just slowly cutting a little bit of weight across this challenge or across the new year. And to do that, for simple math, let's say you need to be at 3,000 calories a day to be in a really small deficit. So if you did that 7 days a week, you'd have 21,000 calories for the week. But most people aren't overly consistent on the weekends. So let's say that someone's like, well, during the week, I'm going to have 5 days, Monday through Friday, that are 3,000 calories a day. Keeps them in a super small deficit. They'd be at 15,000 calories for those 5 days. But then the weekend hits and Saturday, they have like 6,000. And then Sunday, they go back to their normal 3,000. Well, you're at a 3,000 calorie surplus for the week, all because Saturday threw you off. So something to think about, simply from a caloric intake point of view, if that's something you're trying to tackle, is this. If, let's say that was, you went out for cheeseburgers on Saturday, you got a milkshake, and then you got dessert, and oh yeah, you had that like super sugary drink from Starbucks that Saturday morning, and like things just kind of started adding up. It happens. But well, you might be much better off, instead of having basically like a full day of indulgence, throw little pieces in throughout the week. And I get, this might not be for everybody, but for those that are kind of in that beginner phase, looking to go more to intermediate phase when it comes to just being able to have the right amount of calories coming in. If on Monday, you're like, all right, I had a cookie on Monday, then I was solid. So I was only up like a couple hundred calories on that day. And then let's say on Thursday, you're like, oh yeah, I had milkshakes with my kids. So maybe you're up like 400 calories that day. And then, oh yeah, on Saturday, I had a couple slices of pizza and you're up a couple more 100 calories. That puts you at like, at best, 1,000 over for the week, as opposed to 3,000 over for the week because you had a massive day of indulgence. Let alone when you do that, when you have a massive day of indulgence, dude, you feel like crap the next day. Usually training gets thrown off, hormones get thrown off, energy gets thrown off, all of those things. As opposed to just, if that's something you struggle with, you're like, hey, instead of saying no to sweets for like 6 days and saying yes to every sweet on one day, learn how to be a little bit more slow dripping faucet than tighten down, and just blast the fire hose on day 6. It's one thing to think about, because it actually can be kind of helpful. Another thing to think about is this. For those that are looking at trying to just get more movement on their weekends. Wintertime can be tough. I'll be the first one to admit that. Sun's not out, it's not as warm, it's not as easy to get outside and play. On top of that, it's COVID time, so like not as much stuff is open. Just look at getting a little bit more movement on the weekend could be super helpful. It works similar to those that are trying to keep their calories in check. If you're like, yeah, Monday through Friday, I've got a pretty consistent amount of caloric expenditure. I'm moving quite a bit. I go to the gym on those days. I'm fairly active at work. And if on the weekends, you know, you're constantly sitting like Saturday and Sunday, way more than you realize, just looking at getting a little bit more movement in on a Saturday and or a Sunday might actually make really, really big impactful goals for you. Another one to think about, simple steps. If you're like, all right, Monday through Friday, I'm doing really good with my water intake, but Saturday, 4 p.m. rolls around, you're like, I've had 10 ounces of water. For the love of hydration, learn how to be consistent on those weekends with the simple stuff. It could be as simple as water intake, could be as simple as movement, could be as simple as like, I got to kind of look at my calories and make sure I'm not exploding on one day and it throws my whole weekend off. You know, at the same time, the goal of this is build repeatable, sustainable habits that you could do for a year. Because if you can do it for a year, it'll work. Anybody can do something super restrictive and super challenging for 30 days. And that's actually a super weak approach because it won't work and it won't last. Yeah, they're really disciplined for 30 days. That's not impressive. Everybody can do 2-a-day workouts for 30 days, truthfully. But then the next month rolls around, they go back to 1 a day, and then they realize, wow, I did way too much. My body's exhausted. I'm tired. Now I'm not going to work out for a while. What's much more impressive is the person that's like, nope, I'm just going to find a consistent schedule that I can stick to. I'm going to build some habits where I can do it for a year and watch what happens at the end of the year. They'll be in much, much, much better shape. So hope you guys find this helpful. I think the dogs in the background do. I think that weekends can be a bit of a sticking point. Just got to be a little more intentional and make sure you're making intentional choices, not just letting them happen to you. All right, guys. See you on Monday.